The year is 36 BC. A Han army of 40,000 soldiers stands at the edge of the known world, staring down at an impossible fortress on the banks of the Talas River. What they see challenges everything they understand about Central Asian warfare. Below them, surrounding a traditional earthen wall, stands something that shouldn't exist this far east. A wooden palisade constructed from interlocking logs in a pattern no nomadic warlord has ever used. Then the fortress gates swing open. First, 100 cavalry thunder out in the expected show of force, galloping back and forth in typical steppe fashion. But what happens next stops the Han commanders cold. Another 100 infantry emerge and lock into a tight, disciplined square. Shields interlock with mechanical precision. They move as a single organism, executing synchronized military drills that belong to a completely different world. The Han general Chen Tang has marched 5,000 kilometers to reach this moment. He's witnessing something that shouldn't exist on the eastern frontier. The legendary Roman Testudo formation, the signature defensive tactic of the legions, holding a line impossibly far from Italy. For 17 years, no one knew what happened to them, until one fortress, one battle, and one ancient mystery collided at the edge of two empires. This is the story of 10,000 lost Romans, one catastrophic defeat, and the impossible journey that brought Rome's finest infantry face to face with China's military machine. 17 years earlier, in 53 BC, Marcus Licinius Crassus led 7 Roman legions into the desert near Carrhae in modern-day Turkey. Over 40,000 elite soldiers, the finest heavy infantry in the Mediterranean world, marching toward what would become one of Rome's most devastating military disasters. Crassus wasn't fighting for the glory of the Republic. This was naked ambition, a desperate grab for military prestige to match his fellow triumvirs, Pompey and Caesar. He needed a war, and he chose the Parthian Empire. The Parthian general Serena waited with just 10,000 cavalry, 9,000 horse archers, and 1,000 cataphracts, heavily armored shock cavalry. The mathematics seemed absurd. Rome outnumbered Parthia 4-1. But mathematics don't account for tactics. The Parthians unleashed their signature move, the Parthian shot. Wave after wave of arrows darkened the desert sky. The Roman formations, built for close quarters combat with gladius and shield, couldn't reach their tormentors. When the legions tried to advance, the Parthian cavalry simply rode away, shooting backwards as they retreated. The arrows kept coming, hour after hour. The desert sun blazed down. Water ran out. Roman auxiliary forces crumbled first. Then panic rippled through the legions themselves. When the Romans were finally exhausted, demoralized, and broken, the cataphracts charged. 1,000 heavy cavalry smashed into 40,000 disorganized infantry. The formations shattered. The butcher's bill was catastrophic. 20,000 Romans died in the sand. 10,000 more escaped westward, carrying news of the disaster back to a shocked Rome. But 10,000 soldiers, an entire legion's worth, were captured alive. Crassus himself was killed during a parley, his head severed and sent to the Parthian king as a trophy. Rome had lost one of its most powerful men and an entire army in a single afternoon. But what happened to those 10,000 prisoners? The Roman poet Horace mocked them years later, writing that Crassus's soldiers were still alive, shameful husbands to barbarian wives, serving their father-in-law kings. These weren't ordinary captives. They were trained Roman legionaries, the finest heavy infantry in the world, experts in siege warfare, fortification, and disciplined close combat. The Parthians faced a choice: execute them or find a way to use them. Executing 10,000 men would waste valuable military assets. But keeping them on the western frontier near Roman territory was suicide. These soldiers knew Roman tactics, Roman weaknesses, Roman command structures. So the Parthians made a calculated decision. According to Pliny the Elder, they settled the Roman captives in the province of Margiana, in the ancient city of Merv. This was the eastern frontier, thousands of miles from Roman territory, where the captured legionaries would guard Central Asian trade routes and defend against steppe nomads. Merv sat at the crossroads between the Iranian plateau, the Afghan mountains, and the northern steppes. It was strategic, but more importantly, it was isolated. No Roman army could reach that far east to rescue their lost soldiers. For 17 years, these Roman veterans served Parthian masters. Their military skills put to use defending distant oases and trade caravans. They married local women, raised children, and slowly adapted to life on the edge of the known world. But empires shift, borders change, and in 36 BC, a desperate warlord named Zhiji Chanyu was fleeing west after losing a civil war. He needed soldiers, and the Parthians had trained Roman infantry they were willing to rent out. The collision course was set. Roman military expertise, honed in the legions and tempered by 17 years of frontier warfare, was about to face the most disciplined army in the east. 5,000 miles to the east, a different kind of desperation was brewing in the Han Empire's western frontier. Chen Tang, the newly appointed vice commander. Chen Tang was a man with nothing to lose and everything to prove. Unlike celebrated Han generals who came from powerful aristocratic families, Chen Tang was dirt poor. So poor that in his youth he survived by borrowing money and begging from neighbors. So poor that when his debts piled up, he was publicly shamed in his hometown. But poverty had sharpened his mind like a blade. Chen Tang possessed an encyclopedic knowledge of military strategy and frontier politics. When news reached him that Zhiji Chanyu had built a fortress deep in Kangju territory, Chen Tang saw something his superiors missed. This was opportunity. The fortress sat on the Talas River in what is now Kazakhstan. From the Han capital of Chang'an, the straight-line distance was over 3,000 kilometers. The actual march would cover 5,000 kilometers, like a Roman legion marching from Rome to Western India, beyond even Alexander's conquests. Any army from Chang'an would face a logistical nightmare. First, the Taklamakan Desert, the Sea of Death, where armies could march for weeks between tiny oases. Then the Pamir Mountains, with peaks over 4,000 meters high, where altitude sickness and extreme weather killed more soldiers than enemy arrows. During a previous campaign, a Han army of tens of thousands had been reduced to just a few thousand by the time it limped home. The western frontier had devoured entire armies. But Chen Tang wasn't thinking about marching from Chang'an. He was thinking like a frontier commander. The protectorate maintained its own garrison troops. Veteran soldiers adapted to brutal conditions, equipped with the finest Han military technology. Full sets of lamellar armor, ring pommel swords, halberds, and the devastating Han crossbow. According to military records, one fully equipped Han soldier was worth roughly 10 nomadic warriors. This was, in effect, a special forces unit. Chen Tang's plan was revolutionary. Instead of waiting for reinforcements from the capital, he would mobilize the existing frontier garrisons and conscript troops from vassal states. The western regions had 48 city-states and small kingdoms under Han influence. Their leaders held official seals from the Han court. Chen Tang could call upon their armies. His superior, Protector General Gan Yanshu, thought the plan was brilliant, but he wanted to report it to the emperor and wait for permission. A message to Chang'an and back would take 6 months. Chen Tang knew that 6 months meant losing the opportunity forever. There was only one solution, and it was treason. Chen Tang forged an imperial edict in the emperor's name. When Gan Yanshu discovered what was happening, Chen Tang confronted his superior with a sword in his hand. "The arrow is already on the bowstring," he declared. "The great army is about to march. Do you intend to stop them with your own strength alone?" It was the ultimate gamble. If Chen Tang succeeded, he would be hailed as a hero. If he failed, he would be executed as a traitor. The army was already mobilizing. 10,000 elite Han soldiers and 30,000 Western regions auxiliaries prepared to march where Roman discipline was about to face Chinese firepower. The Han army advanced in 2 columns, crossing the Pamirs from north and south. When the columns reunited deep in Kangju territory, they presented an unstoppable force. The Han commanders forbade any looting. Under this combination of overwhelming might and disciplined restraint, many Kangju nobles defected to provide intelligence and supplies. Zhiji Chanyu was utterly shocked when scouts reported the Han invasion. His advisors urged immediate flight, but he feared Kangju ambushes. He decided to make his stand, hoping the far-traveled Han army would exhaust their supplies. Desperate to buy time, Zhiji sent envoys offering his son as hostage. But Chen Tang could taste victory. He replied coldly, "The Son of Heaven has heard you are living in this poor, remote land, and fears you are uncomfortable." When the Han army finally arrived before Zhiji's fortress, they witnessed the double defense system that would solve a 17-year mystery. The outer stockade was built from interlocking logs, a construction method completely alien to nomadic traditions. Colorful banners flew from the battlements. The Han army made camp 3 miles away by the Talas River. Then came the moment that proved everything. 100 Xiongnu cavalry rode out in familiar nomad show of force, galloping back and forth to intimidate the enemy. But what happened next defied every expectation. Another 100 infantry emerged and formed up in a fish-scale formation on both sides of the entrance. These weren't scattered barbarian fighters. They moved with mechanical precision, shields interlocking, conducting disciplined pre-battle drills. This was the smoking gun. Nomads didn't have heavy infantry. Only Roman legionaries were trained for this exact tactical display. The Testudo formation, adapted for defensive warfare after 17 years on the Parthian frontier. But facing 40,000 Han soldiers, Roman discipline meant nothing. Chen Tang ordered his crossbowmen to unleash a volley. The 100 infantry and cavalry immediately retreated into the city. To the deafening roar of war drums, the Han army launched an all-out assault from every direction. Han garrison troops advanced behind massive shields. Crossbowmen rained bolts on the defenders. Auxiliary forces filled the moat and blockaded the gates. Under the storm of arrows, defenders on the earthen wall were quickly wiped out. The Han brought up firewood and set the wooden stockade ablaze. At night, desperate Xiongnu attempted a cavalry charge, only to be annihilated by waiting crossbow volleys. Zhiji Chanyu himself, clad in armor, fought on the walls alongside his armed wives and concubines. An arrow wounded him in the face. Most of his consorts died around him. By midnight, the outer wooden wall was completely consumed by fire. A relief force of 10,000 Kangju cavalry arrived and launched several charges, but armored light cavalry were merely moving targets for Han crossbows. After suffering heavy casualties, they abandoned Zhiji and fled. At dawn, the Han army launched its final assault. Soldiers swarmed over the earthen walls. Street fighting followed. Zhiji retreated to his palace, but Han soldiers pursued him relentlessly. In fierce close-quarters combat, Zhiji Chanyu was mortally wounded and beheaded. He became the first and only Xiongnu supreme ruler killed in battle by the Han. The final count told the story. 1,518 Xiongnu killed, 145 captured alive. Those 145 survivors likely included the last Roman legionaries, 17 years after Carrhae. These weren't just soldiers. They were the last Romans ever to face the Han Empire, the final witnesses to an impossible collision between 2 worlds. Chen Tang's career afterwards swung between glory and disgrace. The emperor granted him a noble title, but Confucian officials attacked his corruption and defiance. He was stripped of rank, imprisoned, then reinstated when his military genius was needed again. His famous declaration echoed through history. Let those who dare challenge the great Han be hunted down, no matter how far they run. The strategic lesson remains relevant today. Fixed positions become death traps when facing superior mobility and firepower. Zizi's fortress strategy, abandoning nomadic advantages for static defense, sealed his fate. If you were commanding those final Roman survivors, would you have maintained the Testudo against overwhelming crossbow fire, or ordered a desperate cavalry breakout? Let me know in the comments, and subscribe for more legendary clashes between empires.